One of the best ways to build your business and gain exposure is through media coverage. So I'm talking getting on publications and podcasts, but today we're going to talk specifically about podcasts because if your goals are sales, what I've seen with podcasting is it really moves the needle, especially for service-based or personal brands. So my name is Lydia. I am a media educator and a publicist. I have been for upwards of 10 years. I did the math the other day. I'm responsible for over 4,000 pieces of press floating around on the internet and in print PR. And I've gotten my clients on thousands of interviews on top tier podcasts. So today we're going to be talking about how to get yourself on podcasts. And after this conversation, you are going to be able to approach a podcast that makes sense for you, that's aligned for your ideal customers and your brand. And you're going to be able to actually nail that interview. So secure it and nail it. So something that I would like to discuss today is like, okay, how do we determine what podcasts we should get on that are going to add value to our business and also in turn add value to their listenership? So we want to think about like, what industry are we in? Are we in a wellness industry? Are we in food and beverage? Are we in, what else do we have? Business? Are we in self-development? Are we in health? So we want to think about those industries, right? And then my favorite way to actually research different podcasts, because the number one question I get is like, well, I'm not really a podcaster. I don't really listen to podcasts, or I listen to a few shows that I absolutely love, but I don't know how to research others. So there is a site, hold on, it's called like, Listen Notes. There's a site called Listen Notes, and you can type in at the top a specific guest, and then you'll see all the podcasts that they've been on. So what you can do is you can think about others in the industry that you admire or that you consider maybe different, you consider maybe like competitors, but no one's really a competitor, right? Because we're all unique. So consider competitors or somebody that you want to kind of be featured alongside of, and then you can research that way. So say, for example, I am maybe in the health space and I really want to be alongside the, what is she called? The psychologist, the holistic psychologist. Yes. And I want to be featured alongside her. And I think that she is like perfect for somebody that really aligns with my business, or her audience members are going to make sense for my audience members. What I would do is I would type in her name or the holistic psychologist into Listen Notes and start researching those shows. And the way that we can determine if they are a good show that we want to be featured on is I kind of determine the shows because a lot of the podcasts don't release their numbers or listenership or viewership, is to do a little bit of research on, do they have a lot of reviews? Do the people review it positively? Do they have decent sized guests? And then we can also look at the host's Instagram page and website and see if it makes sense. I like to create a spreadsheet where I do like the show name, the first and last name of the host or the contact, the genre that it is, and then an email. Emails are very easy to find, especially for personal brands or podcasters. A lot of the times, if you just use your phone and you just go directly to their Instagram page, there'll be like an email button, or it'll be somewhere on the website. And rest assured, if you email them, they are reviewing it. So if you don't get a response, and this is typical in PR, I feel like it really keeps you humble. If you don't get a response, it doesn't mean no necessarily. It might just mean no for right now. So now that we've created that list, it's like, how do we represent ourselves in a way where they're going to be like, yes, I need you to be a guest on my show. So, and let's just like be okay with the hair today. I just got back from a workout and this idea popped into my head. So we're YouTube and we're doing it. Okay. So something that I think about a lot, PR and branding really go hand in hand because you want to have a really strong brand positioning statement or messaging. It's going to help you stand out from other competitors or other brands in your industry. That's how we become a real authority and a voice. And that's how podcast hosts really determine if it makes sense for their show. Are you going to add value? Are you going to bring something different to the table, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. So number one, and I want everyone to do this with me, take out a pen and paper, listen to this again. If you're driving, obviously don't do that. You can listen, you can come back to this, but this framework is really going to help you get secured press features. I have helped hundreds of clients with this exact method at this point. Not only do I do traditional private PR, but I also have a course called Pitch Party where I teach my clients, me and my co-founder Bridget, we teach our clients how to actually do this yourself. If you can't hire a publicist at this time, sometimes we're in that middle ground where we're like making a great income, but we might not be ready to invest at that level just yet. So this is a great option for you to start doing this yourself. It also helps you media train. So anyways, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to start with authenticity. What does your brand want to be at its most authentic state? And when we think about authenticity, we're thinking about like, if we were not to change our colors or our message or whatever to like please others, right? Or change our messaging or whatever way we talk about our business to align with others in the industry, like how can we just authentically let the brand be itself, right? Then once we determine the authenticity, I like to think about it as like pillars. So your authentic pillars, I typically come up with 4, but say your authentic pillars are community. It could be like holistic health, because we're talking about, right, like health as an option or like as a, topic for today. It could be education. So it's all those pieces that make sense for your business. So say your business is service-based, it really thrives on community. Maybe you have group programs. It really thrives on education, maybe educating your clients that there is a holistic other way to approach their medical diagnoses, right? So whatever those authentic pillars are, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to really make sense for you and your brand. It could even be something like aesthetics are one of your authentic pillars, meaning that like your brand is always really pretty and you have a very aesthetic office space and your clients come in and they get to be in your really beautiful, office, whatever it is to you, right? So we're going to start with authenticity. Determine those authentic pillars. Then we're going to, and that I see this as like building a house almost. So like that's the foundational level. So the next level up is personality, right? So brand personality. How does your brand act? If you were to like almost personify it, how does your brand act and speak? So maybe your brand is really soft and it speaks with really loving words and it's very kind. Or maybe your brand's a little tough love and a little sassy and maybe you curse a little bit, right? So thinking about that, these are factors that are going to help differentiate your brand. So we're actually building up to get to your brand messaging and help you stand out so that you do secure those podcast features. So we've got authenticity, personality, how does your brand act? How does it feel, right? And then we're going to go up to our brand positioning. So brand positioning is a fancy way to say what your business does and how it in fact does it. When we think about brand positioning, we want to think about the brand, your titles as founder, because you're going to be the one speaking, right? Interviewed. We want to think about what your business does, maybe like a one-liner, why it's different. We're going to think about its results and transformation. Like, why do people want to hear from you? What is different from you that's going to create a different, unique transformation or result? And I encourage you to look up different formulas and how to come up with your brand positioning, but those are the pieces that you want to include in a brand positioning statement. Brand positioning statements are really good to just have on hand for yourself. It's not really something you typically share. You could put it on like a website or something, but it's great for you to just have and know. Then it's brand messaging. So once we've determined our authenticity, our personality, our brand positioning, we have a very strong foundation for our branding. We then come up with the messaging. So what I like to think about for messaging is think about the types of topics you like to speak on. These are also going to be bullet points that you can share with the podcast hosts because they're going to want to know what you can speak on, right? So think about what you like to talk about. So say we are doing the health conversation, doctors, holistic health. Say you talk about maybe back pain, okay? I'm actually reading a book right now about like back pain and the mind-body connection. So interesting, by Dr. John Sarno. Highly recommend looking it up. Anyways, in his book, he talks about how the emotional body is actually responsible for any physical pain. So it informs the brain or the body to create pain in the body, which is very real pain, but really the underlying cause is emotions. So maybe one of the things is one of the topics that you speak on is like emotions and why it actually informs our physical body causing pain. Or one of them could be chronic pain and how having chronic pain could be an indication of emotional pain. Another example could be how the body, how the mind and body communicate together. So these could be different topics that we speak on, right? These are different messaging pieces. And brand messaging, just so you know, is any communication with your audience. So that is copy on your website, social media posts. It could be print collateral. It could be really anything. Also, messaging comes down to, even if you want to get serious with it, branding, colors, look and feel of your brand. And so we're not going to get too crazy into that, mostly just talking about the copy and the topics. But we really want to think about and I always tell my clients, I say, like, come up with 5 topics that you'd like to talk about within your business, or you could talk about all day long that has to do with your services and products and offers. Come up with like a quick bullet point, and then we want to get a list of those together. So now we have, and I keep going through the foundations because I really want you to see how this really builds on top of each other. But now we have the authenticity, we have the personality, we have the brand positioning. So we're super confident in our branding overall. And then we have our messaging piece. So we have all the items needed to now approach these shows that we researched. So now how you approach the podcast is you actually can reach out to the host. You can let them know that you are X, Y, and Z. You can use that kind of like brand positioning statement. Give them a list of topics you'd like to discuss on their show and let them know you'd like to add value to their listeners. And that is how you will secure really amazing interviews. Interviews are such a great way to get exposure because, number one, podcasts have a robust listenership. Typically, they trust the host. They will listen to a show the entire way through. So you'll have their attention for about 30 minutes to an hour, right? And it's very easy to convert because they can hear something of value. They can hear a genuine conversation. You're actually building your relationships with listeners without having to communicate with them in the DMs, right? And this is a really quick way to build sales. It's a quick way to build community, to build your own audience. And I have seen such amazing results with my clients who consistently doing this for a year to 2 years have like tripled their income and their audience. And it's such a great way to meet other experts in your industry. Typically, the host is going to also be an expert in your industry, right? One thing to remember when reaching out to these podcasts is to also make sure that the topic aligns with who your business is. Just make sure that it makes sense. Like, we're not going to reach out to, if we're using this like back pain example, we're not going to reach out to a podcast that only covers like dietitian, food related things, right? Unless we can talk about that as well. So health was the category, but we want to make sure that it also has to, that's why I mentioned like the holistic psychologist, if we're talking about this back pain type of topic, because whatever she's speaking on, it has to do with trauma, emotions, and things like that. That's going to also align with this idea of emotions and back pain in the physical body, right? All right, I hope that this was helpful. Please like, subscribe, and share. Give us a comment below if you have any questions, and happy pitching. Cheers to getting featured and blowing up your business in 2024.